I think when my grandfather died when he was, what was it? 88, I forget the date. I had written it down somewhere, but anyway. Because he was 89, I think, when he died. Well, anyway, when he died, my grandma went to live with their son, who was just at the end of the mile there. And
was this in Indiana?
Yeah.
Okay.
And he took over the family farm. And so that ended all the wonderful stories of that. But when Grandpa died and she moved, then her family, got, I don't know how they did it, but got everything out of the house that needed to be. And my mother got these bags of quilt blocks that I can remember my grandma. In fact, we had the rocking chair that I think was hers, and she would be sitting in the living room and sewing and humming or singing hymns. And so and it's interesting because the one that you have has mostly the older blocks. There was one that had lots of different colored fabric and designs, and I saw one that I could remember that my sister had a dress made out of that. It was a brown and yellow plaid, and then my mother had pieced some pieces together and made a half apron also, and that happened to be in the drawer I had it. So anyway, so that quilt, I put it together and gave it to Mary Nell because it had her mother's dress in it. And then there was another one that I had worked on lots long before this one, but saving for your mom.
A different one than this one.
Yeah,
Or,
that's
that one.
Because that one, the fabrics, they were probably from the late 20s and through the 30s. The other one would have been the 30s.
Okay.
And the one that your mother has mostly subtle designs that women would have worn.
Were they fabrics that your grandma would have worn?
Well, I have
You don't know.
Well, and see, she had a number of daughters-in-law, and I suppose the women all just gave her whatever, and so I don't know which one she.
But your grandma put them together.
Yes, she put them together. Well, and my sister had all these bags. Well, she was a pretty busy woman, and so there came a time when I retired that it seemed appropriate to all of us that I get busy and work on it. And so I started going over to Newton, to the quilt shop that used to be on Main Street. It's not there anymore. And got their advice about what to do with them, and anyway, and that's what we did. And then they actually quilted the one that you have. And then I put it up in the cupboard.
So that's been completed for a while, and it's just been at your house.
It's just, well, it was completed within the last 10 years.
Oh, okay.
But, because it was kind of a job to get all those things done. Then the one that Mary Nell took was the one that, edging, and I thought, well, I wasn't proud of it, but I think it looks all right. But
I never did see it.
It looked beautiful.
You still have it?
no, didn't we? I thought you saw it.
You saw it, we didn't see it with the edging on it,
Oh, okay.
but we saw it
Because
before.
it was, and I don't know how I figured what design I did on that, because it had white in it, and then the back was white, and I'm thinking, gosh, who wants a white mostly white quilt, but anyway, it's gone to Mary now, so I'm not gonna worry about it, but
I was surprised that the material felt brand new.
Yeah.
Like the quality of it feels like
Well,
it was.
well, the blocks were old,
Yeah.
but the joiners were fabric that I would have gotten from the quilt shop in Newton.
Correct. But even
With-
those blocks.
With
felt-
their advice.
I was
Yeah.
expecting the material
Well,
to
and you-
seem aged.
But, and see, they were all
Yeah.
hand done, you could
Wow.
But
So-
Mother,
That's a
don't you
nice
think
quilt.
that a lot of the block material would have come from ladies back then were making their own
Oh,
clothes,
yeah,
so
yeah.
any extra cutoff material
Yeah.
was new.
Oh,
it
yeah,
just
it was
didn't
all,
get used.
it would be all new fabric.
Yeah, I know, but even so, some of that material is from the 20s and 30s.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
it's like 90 years old material. I thought the material would feel like
No.
90-year-old material, but
No.
it feels
But
brand
a
new.
lot, but a lot of
Yeah.
it didn't see the light of day very
Correct.
often.
Yeah, it was just in a
Yeah,
bag in a
yeah,
closet.
Yeah.
Isn't that
Well,
funny
I'm so, and then I gave that other quilt that, did you see it? It's smaller. There weren't as many blocks, and one summer in Colorado, I worked on that, trying to design what to do with them, and it's more like a 3/4 size
Oh,
thing.
yeah.
And Dad and I, when we brought I did the blocks, I put them, I mean, she had quilted them, but I did the joining or boundary around them and to make it bigger. Anyway, then when we came home and Dad and I put them on the bed and we were trying to arrange them the way we thought it would look good. Anyway, so and in fact, Sarah saw that and I kind of wanted her to have that, but I don't know what Ann's gonna do. But, cause when she saw it, she said, oh, that would be a good on Joel's bed. But, cause it's not a full size. But maybe, who knows? I told Ann, maybe DJ would like it, and she didn't think he would, so I don't know. I'll tell her sometime if you don't
Yeah,
know
I
what
kind
to
of
do
wonder if
with
Dee
it.
would like that, though. I don't know.
Who?
DJ, when you said
Oh,
DJ?
well, Jane's the one that,
Yeah.
she went to visit him, and she was so impressed with his house.
Yeah.
Everything was so nice, and she thought he'd probably like it.
Yeah.
So I don't know, but anyway,
yeah.
it's off my closet shelf, so I'm
Finally.
I'm happy about that.
But this quilt did come from Grandma's stump.
Yes,
And
the blocks.
Yes, and for you, the memory of your grandparents' stump farm was very vivid.
And is that the farm that we visited when you came up to my house that time? Do you remember? You were there and we went over to Napanee somewhere, I
Well,
thought.
Napanee is the old Metzler farm.
Right.
So this was different then.
Different.
Okay.
It's no
All right.
longer there.
Okay.
This one, when I go out to Bruce's, I think of Grandpa Stump's farm
Oh.
because they had an orchard with an arbor. They had, Daddy and Mother took us out of school to go up to make apple butter at Grandpa Stump's when the apples were. And the relatives would all be around with a big bonfire there. Great big copper kettle that Miriam, my cousin, showed me the newspaper ad for their auction showing that for sale. And and it had a long wooden thing that they stirred the apples in to get them soft and make the apple butter. And it was just, and in the fall, we would go to, when they were making maple syrup in the maple grove, there was a long lane, and in my mother's diary she tells about them walking out to the maple grove, and that's when they decided to get married. But anyway, and there I remember my Uncle John, who was the one at the farm where my grandma moved to. But his wife was not very thoughtful of her mother-in-law. And my Aunt Anna was so, well, Grandma became incontinent, and then Aunt Susie would have her wash the sheets in the sink.
Oh.
kind of
And Aunt Anna mother would be crying, but what can they do about it? Nothing.
But she was kind of punishing her mother-in-law for wetting her bed.
Yeah, yeah.
Uh,
But we did go to visit her there, and because it was soon after, I mean, Jane was born soon after she moved there, and so she got to see her great-grandchild. Well,
Mhm.
anyway, and she didn't live too long. I'm grateful for that, because it wasn't a happy
How
time.
long do you think they lived on that farm? And it had the bank barn.
Yeah. Well, because he built the barn and the bank and all that. I planted the trees, the maple things, and I mean, well, we have old diaries of his.
But isn't that place torn down now?
I don't know.
I thought we couldn't.
Where in
find-
Indiana was it? Near Napanee?
No, this
Oh.
was near Walkerton,
Oh.
Goshen.
Oh, okay, okay.
So anyway,
Had we tried to find it or something?
Well, I thought we did when
well,
we
and
drove around.
frankly,
Oh.
Paul and I tried to find it, and we didn't. I couldn't find it. So it may just look totally different. I
yeah,
don't know.
yeah, I would, yeah.
It'd be
So-
interesting to trace that back to go by it.
Well, I doubt if there's.
I would be
I doubt if
surprised
it's
if there
there.
was something there other
But
than.
I can remember, well, Galen and Miriam were the Mangus cousins,
Mhm.
and we would go up in the barn and move the bales of straw or hay or whatever it was, and make little rooms, and that's the time when I was the bad girl.
Oh, Andy probably hasn't heard this. Tell him.
Well, we would go, Galen, and we would sit on the top of the bank and let our legs hang over the side, and we'd see Grandpa coming out with the basket, gathering the eggs from the hen house, and just things like that, just memories. Well, one time we were, I suppose the relatives were together in the house, and the Mangus kids, Galen and Miriam, and probably, and Johnny, well, you remember at the Metzler reunions, there was a Wilbur,
Yeah.
Stump, he was
Oh.
their son.
Oh, okay.
Good guy. Well, anyway, so, one time, the family was all in the house, and so we were thinking, what could we do? And I didn't think of it, but they did. A good plan. There was a spring wagon. You know what that? I don't know what that is, but that's what they called it, a spring wagon.
Okay.
And they would bring it, we'd get in it, and it would roll down the bank barn. Which I suppose the parents were saying, you better be careful. I mean, that was kind of, well, we cooked up a plan. Why don't we'll take it down and turn it over. We had a wreck. And we can go in and tell them. And guess who was the messenger?
Okay.
Me, going in to tell them. Johnny got hurt in the wagon. We had a wreck. And they all jumped up to come out, and my grandma fell on the cement floor, and she cut her head or something. All the attention was there, and here am I, and nothing happened to the kids. Ooh, we just cooked it up.
Oh. So, do you remember that your father or your mother
No,
saying, "Mary, we need to talk"?
no, I
Snacks.
don't remember. I don't remember anything about it except I can just see the kids all out by the wagon, and all the adults are up there on the porch around Grandma, who fell and cut herself.
And how old?
We
Your
were-
grandma probably was she even 70 at that time?
Oh, I'm no good at figuring that out. I don't know, but
Probably wasn't much older than that though.
probably, yeah, because that would have been before we moved, and yeah, and that was 100 years ago, well, almost,
Yeah.
90. Well, anyway, that's enough of that, but. So
That's
the
funny.
quilts come from the
Yeah.
past.
Oh no, my shirt. Oh, got my
Well, I do wish that when we were up there, we went past the Mangus farm and where Anna and Uncle Roscoe lived. But we didn't ever find the stump farm.
I remember we drove south somewhere and tried to find something, and then we cut across the country
I think
over
that-
to Napanee.
I think that was it. I think
Okay.
we were trying to find the stump farm.
Well, you know, I don't think, I think Paul and I couldn't find it either. Or at least I never recognized anything.
Yeah.
There,
It
there
would be
was-
so different, I would
Oh,
guess.
yeah.
Yeah.
Well, the only, and you're probably right.
Like trees would be
maybe,
different. And,
or if the barn would still be there. There's still lots of old barns in Indiana
That's true.
that
Yeah, yeah.
are being used,
Yeah.
but
yeah.
Yeah, well, I don't know. Yeah, it wouldn't be.
and am I right, Mom? Is that the farm that your cousin John took over?
Well, my Uncle John,
Your Uncle John,
my
that's what I
mother's
meant.
brother, I think they had made arrangements that he would get the farm because he was in the same block of farmland.
Right, as his dad.
So it made sense. And Mother was always just, when my parents moved to Chicago and bought the house in Oak Park, which is where, well, it's gone now, but when we were there, the seminary owned it, and the president lived there. And my parents bought that, but Grandpa Stump had loaned them $10,000. In those days, that would have been a lot of money. And Mother just was brooding about that so much because they owed that, and that's when they bought the Dodge, and we moved to Middlebury because the Bethany couldn't pay.
Oh, yes.
So
Grandpa
Bethany
lost
took
his-
over our property, and the $10,000 never
Was
got
vanished.
paid back to her dad. Well, I suppose later on they probably paid some, but because she felt so bad about it. But I'm sure that, you know,
Wow. So maybe if you would contact Bethany Seminary, they would pay you the $200,000.
no, that would have been a gift. But I just have a lot of memories of Oak Park because that block was right next door to us. Was the Maphises, and he was the administrator of the hospital. And across the street was A.C. Wynn and his family. The girls were growing up because they gave us some candy cigarettes. And
Such
and
nice
then the
people.
Moyers, he was a librarian. The Hoffs, the Curtis Bowman was at the end of the block. He was a head doctor at the hospital. And Hoff was nearby. It was just a Bethany block.
Oh, yeah, the whole neighborhood.
And now, if you'd see that,
Oh.
it's completely
Oh
gone.
yeah. Oh yeah.
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 We were there about a year ago in that location. It just,
They
Totally gone.
There was something on the news that they were talking about that, and I thought, hey, that is, yeah. I remember because we would walk to the end of the block, and there was an apartment building there, and we would go in there, and you'd see the elevator, and it was so big, and then that's where the elevated trains, and that's how when Mother was pregnant and went to the hospital to give birth, they rode the elevated train into Bethany Hospital.
Wow.
So it was a different, and that's when the seminary couldn't pay them anymore, and that's when Daddy bought the 32 Dodge, and I suppose the seminary paid them some money for the house.
Oh, sure.
And I remember being in the upstairs bathroom and looking out the window and seeing that car drive in the alley to the garage.
And that was pretty exciting.
And And when he would come to school to pick me up, I was always embarrassed that people would see that house with all those chrome things. And
Like it was too fancy?
oh, it was a fancy car for the age with the and that got stolen.
Oh, the Ram on the front?
The Ram got stolen from when he drove to the campus.
Yeah, those were probably cool ornamental.
Oh,
hood
they were very
figures.
Oh, they were.
Yeah.
And yeah, it had chrome covers over the wheels. But
Okay.
Daddy would have gotten what was, and look how long that car lasted. He would have gotten what was the best thing he could do with his money that would last him, and that's what it was.
Was it like black or what color
Oh,
was it?
it was black.
Black.
And then he made and it had a trunk carrier that would fold up in the back.
Okay.
And then he made a trunk that he would fasten on that when we'd go to district meetings or camp, and then we'd pack everything in that trunk.
Sorry to
And-
miss
Was it a 4-door vehicle?
Yeah,
I'm gonna
Okay,
yeah,
all right.
yeah.
Rachel's gonna give me a ride. I'll get my stuff at church and just work from home a little bit.
You know, what happened?
I don't know, I just felt like really like kind of dizzy and lightheaded all of a sudden.
You feel okay?
Huh?
You feel okay now?
Yeah, still a little bit like that.
All right.
I don't know.
Or on your way to different places?
Oh,
or,
we camped, yeah.
and
Well, not,
did you have
well,
a
we
tent?
never, I don't remember.
I thought you had gone to like an annual conference or something.
Yes, we did, but I can't remember ever going to camping. I really can't tell you whether we stayed in a motel. I
Well,
can't
here's
remember a motel.
the question. The reason I'm asking because I remember one time you told us about. I thought it was annual conference, and grandfather had a part in the conference, and you remembered him hanging his suits in the tent.
Tent. Oh,
And-
that was
and-
when it was it was the site was Camp Mac,
Oh.
and we put a tent up in that. Yeah,
They had annual conference at Camp
no,
Mac?
this was
Oh, it
like
must
a
have been-
district.
probably
Yeah,
district.
okay. All right.
And so,
Huh.
but yeah, annual conference too. You know,
Yeah.
you mentioned that. I do remember going to Pennsylvania, I think, and I don't think we ever stayed in a motel.
Wow. And that was your memory of that trip was in the Dodge too.
Yeah, well, we had the Dodge until
Oh, okay.
when we were in college.
Yeah. Yeah.
It was an old car, but he always took care of it, and he fixed so the heat from the motor would come back into the car. And
So do you remember like your trip to Pennsylvania? It had to be windy and hot, but
Well,
you didn't think about it.
And we would stop, we would go to the grocery store and buy, we usually had canned peaches and a loaf of bread and I don't know,
Yeah.
just stuff like that. In fact, old pictures show us we're all just standing there and
Handing
eating
out.
stuff and throwing watermelon seeds down and I don't know. But, yeah.
So would you? I'm saying it jokingly, but when you did that, I mean, was there ever a time your mom or your dad surprised you and you had a Hershey's candy bar or something?
Oh, probably. I mean, I don't remember, but a Hershey candy bar was not something we just had.
Yeah.
But we had them for a treat. That's what it was.
Right.
Yeah.
So do you remember growing up? The only ice cream you would have had is if you would have made it. You didn't go to an ice cream store.
No. Yeah, we made ice cream a lot.
And do you remember? How about the ice? Did they used to pack ice in
Well,
at the
I
farm
think we got
somewhere?
a chunk of ice, and Daddy
Yes.
would break it up and
Uh-huh.
put it around the.
But you probably bought that from an ice.
Yeah.
It wasn't like ice that was cut and stored at the farm or anything.
No.
Yeah.
I don't know where we got it, but
Yeah.
It just was there.
anyway.
It just came.
Well, it's
Oh.
like that is one of our memories. Bruce and John remember it when we were kids, and the milkman would come around.
Oh, yeah.
That we would follow that milk truck and they would throw out pieces of ice, and we think that was special.
I think I've seen that on a movie somewhere.
Oh my goodness.
I think maybe that's in Pollyanna.
I didn't
Oh,
know
maybe
that.
so.
Huh.
Oh, and it was just
Then getting ice chunks.
just holding a chunk of ice,
Yeah,
thinking that was special.
yeah.
Because we never got Hershey bars in our house,
You got raw
Yeah.
potatoes.
raw potatoes, but we can have
What kind
salt
of
on it.
potatoes?
Raw
Oh.
potatoes.
Oh.
That was your kids' treat.
It
Raw
was?
potatoes.
I liked raw potatoes, but I don't know. Don't ask
Andy's
me.
kidding. Andy's kidding.
Yeah, well,
Well, and I wish that, 145 was for sale, is for sale.
It is?
you said, didn't you say 250,000?
Yeah.
The house you guys grew up in or grandfather's house?
The house that we grew up in, but it was the house that grandmother lived in when they moved here.
Oh, okay.
And
Yeah.
that was
And then-
grandfather's house.
The one on the corner or the one next to it?
Then I can still
Next to it.
remember seeing the one on the corner
Yeah.
was the Fonasock.
Yeah.
And Amanda was, her husband had been in the college, I mean, in the early days, Fonastock Hall and all that. And I can still remember seeing Dr. Mueller walking over to have a talk with Daddy because he was on the mission board. And Amanda gave support of the mission board. And when she died, the house went to the college, and
This is
no
Amanda
went to the mission board, and Dr. Moeller was on the mission board at the time, and he talked to Daddy and thought maybe it amazes me that they
Could buy it.
bought that at that time and didn't sell the other one. They kept it for a rental, and they moved into the Fonastock
And
house.
what year do you think that would have been?
Oh,
in the
well,
late
it would have
40s?
been in the early 40s.
Oh, okay.
So was this Amanda Fonastock, was the daughter of S.B. Fonastock?
Uh-huh.
Okay, okay,
Or the wife.
Or
the
the
wife.
wife?
The wife.
okay. I
They
was
didn't
trying to-
have any children.
Okay, okay.
And
Which I've got to get the picture
Oh, yeah,
from
yeah.
Mom to see.
So your dad bought that house.
so they
kind of-
bought that house, but they were too sentimental about the house that they had done all the work on.
Yeah.
And so then they were renting it. And then when we came, we rented it and then ended up buying it. And
Huh. I didn't ever know that. Huh.
Yeah.
Okay.
and that's when when it didn't have much of a basement, and that's when we dug that out.
Yes.
And John Burkholder was digging out their basement. Al Willems was digging out his basement. And Paul, I think they were
It
the
was
only
what everyone
three.
was doing.
What?
Everyone was digging out their basement.
Yeah, but Al was so clever that he didn't have to, his kids didn't have to carry all the dirt out.
Oh.
He made a motor that would bring the dirt out.
Ah, interesting. Huh.
This is a picture that we bought for $1 at an estate sale,
Oh.
and it's by S.B. Fonastock, 1892.
Oh my gosh.
And so-
Look at that.
Mama's darling.
That is a treasure.
And so
Oh.
I showed it to Bob Smith to see what he thought it was, and he said he's pretty sure that Fonastock would have made an etching of this on a piece of metal, and then they would ink over that piece of metal and make a
Gosh.
copy.
See, and there were lots of those plates that are hanging in the front there. I think they need to be it's a treasure for the college,
Mhm.
but you go through a period when, well, they don't care.
Yeah.
And then it gets old enough that,
And
hey,
then all
yeah.
of a sudden you care.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But it's very old.
Boy.
I haven't taken the back off
Oh
to see
my
what's behind
gosh,
it.
it is. Who had it?
It was their last name was Mines. Was at an estate sale
Huh.
of her father.
Oh my goodness. Well, that is something. Yeah, that's been in a wet basement or something.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you want some ice cream?
No, I don't
Okay.
really.
Okay.
But you go ahead and eat it if you want it.
No, I'm good. I don't want any. I think that's interesting about those houses, how
Yeah.
those changed hands.
Yeah.
How what?
About how grandfather bought the Faunastock house.
Oh
How
yeah.
those changed hands. Stuff.
And he had his shop down there, and grandmother had a rocking chair down there, and she would be down there while he's working, and then when, well, they had rented it to the art prof, and then he went to Goshen College.
And that was, now the name's
Yeah.
slipping me.
Oh, I know it.
It'll come to us.
Yeah.
But which, you're saying he rented the.
He
the
rented
Euclid?
145 on
Oh,
it.
145.
He was renting that. When we moved, they were leaving to go to Goshen College.
Okay.
And so for us, we moved into the family home,
Yeah.
rent it from Daddy, and then he ends up selling it to us. But
When did you buy that then? Like,
50, 55 maybe?
okay.
oh yeah, Bruce was a baby,
Mhm.
and so something like
Okay.
that. And but what was I gonna say about it?
Uh,
It was
The-
something of interest, but I can't.
Well, that art teacher lived there and.
Oh, I know. Yeah, the artwork that Deb, it has your name on the
Yeah.
back of it. Deb wants it. Did you know
Well,
that?
no, I wanted.
Oh, okay,
Yeah.
well. It
what are
has-
those pieces of, what are those?
Well,
It's that painting in our living room.
That
Oh,
looks
oh,
like a
yeah,
scene
yeah.
from.
And so when we moved in there, in that little corner upstairs, which was the little girl's room, it was his room.
His studio.
It was my dad's study when they lived there. And I can remember being in his study and doing something on the typewriter for school, and I could look out at the alley and see the
Mhm.
tree where the squirrels played, and I gave Sarah the book that I loved because that book was about my squirrels, Frisky
Oh.
Squirrel.
Oh.
They, because I just remembered the squirrels from Indiana. Anyway, so here when we moved there, this painting was there. And my gosh, so we contacted him as Hirschberger, and he said, oh no, he didn't. He said, you can take it to the college or do whatever you want to with it. Woo! It was a treasure. I love it.
Mhm.
And so,
Well, and then at one point he did get a hold of you, and you sent it back to him that he wanted it for an art show.
Oh.
yes, that's right,
Huh.
that's right.
And but he didn't keep it. After he used it at his art show, he sent it back.
Where was the art show at?
Must have been.
In Goshen
In Goshen,
College,
okay,
yeah.
okay.
And then the same thing is true with the light above the piano.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
That was hanging in the basement under the stairway, and I asked him about that. No, they didn't want that either. I don't know where that came from, but I think it has your name on it because
I
your
think
mother
so,
thought
correct,
you'd like it.
correct.
I don't know.
Didn't you acquire like a chair in that house too? Didn't they leave a chair or something like that? I thought,
No,
No?
but, well, we bought,
maybe I'm.
well, we had a
thinking
lot of
something.
old chairs that we bought it.
Yeah.
Well, the Forneys were good friends of ours, and we got a lot of old stuff from the college too.
Mhm.
And I have a lot of college plates and, anyway. But that's gonna be your problem when I don't get out of bed.
Well, those are good memories to share.
Do you remember when you first arrived in McPherson?
Yes, I
I'm
remember.
curious.
We lived on the other side of Euclid. We
Okay.
lived in the middle house on the other side.
Was Euclid a paved street, or was it like a maintained dirt road?
No,
or
I
was
think it was kind of asphalt or something.
Okay.
Nothing fancy, but
Okay.
it was
It was-
a road. It wasn't,
Yeah, it wasn't like just a dirt
like
road.
Maxwell was just a dirt road.
Maxwell was.
Yeah, because I
Okay.
can remember when we were in junior high and high school, and we were all the girls and Bryant Fisher, who was a great big tall guy, and anyway, Brian Fisher and I ran a race, and I won
Whoa!
going
Where-
down dirt Maxwell.
Oh, okay.
My gosh.
I still remember that.
Did he challenge you, or how did that come
No,
about?
I don't know how it happened, but anyway, we just did silly things like that, and we ran the race, and he was real tall, and I wasn't.
You know, and I've heard that affected his manlyhood the rest of his life.
I don't think so. His father was the music prof, Nevin Fisher,
Oh yeah. Heard that.
and he was a wonderful guy.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Oh, the college was a whole new world for us, and it was wonderful. And they had, every year they had a college faculty picnic at Black Canyon, and
Where's Black Canyon at?
It would be
What is-
if you went over.
Is it by Canopolis or
No,
something? Oh.
if you went up to the exit off the interstate that goes into Lynchburg, the south exit.
Yeah.
If instead of going over to Old 81, you would turn and go east about
Oh.
maybe 4 miles, and then go south a few miles, and there's a couple big hills there.
Huh.
And,
and a stream,
yeah,
and they would always have, well, they would have coffee. And
Uh-huh.
Roberta and I would get coffee at the,
at Black Canyon.
Because
Yeah.
you weren't being supervised. You could just go up
we
and
were,
get some.
yeah, the kids we just had fun. Played in the water, and it was just fun.
And drink coffee. How old were you?
Well,
Like-
I was in the 5th grade when we moved here.
Okay.
My brother was in the, no, was he 5 years behind me?
Yeah, he was just a little kid.
Well, yeah, I thought he was in 1st grade, but gee whiz.
Well, that would have been.
Well, they were only 3 years behind us in college. Well, maybe he was in, because I was in 5th grade, maybe he was in second.
Second grade.
Second. Yeah, I'll bet he was. Yeah, that would make it. Okay, he was out of 1st grade and 2nd grade.
Like, what school did you go to?
Washington.
Washington was there?
It was,
Okay.
but it was small.
Small,
then.
yeah. It just that old, the old
The-
part.
The, the original part.
Okay.
Uh-huh.
So
yeah.
when you walked from your house to Washington, was like Lakeside Park established?
It was new.
It was
It was
new,
new,
okay.
and we would run from one light pole to another one to stand out of the wind from the snow,
Oh, okay.
and yeah, we'd go
And-
home at noon.
And was the college president's house built yet? Was it there on the
No,
corner?
no,
No, it
that
wasn't there
was
yet.
built by a doctor.
Oh, okay.
And then when they gave it to the college, and then it became, they
Oh.
used to live on Olivet Street.
Oh.
Down at the end of the block, there was a big,
Oh.
Dr. Schwalm was the president when we came, and Daddy and Dr. Schwalm were good colleagues,
Mhm.
and so we lived right across the street, and they used to go walking together in the evening after meals, and
But I think what Andy was saying,
Oh.
Mom, the house that is the president's house, it would have been built in like the 20s, I think.
well, it was built, no, we came here when did we come? It wasn't there when we
Oh,
moved
okay.
here.
But the building that used to be the McPherson Museum would have been built by then, right? Do you remember?
The Fawning Stock Hall.
Oh, yeah, that was there.
So that was there.
That was
okay.
there.
I was trying to visualize
Yeah.
you walking down Euclid.
Yeah.
And what was there when you were walking
Well,
to school?
not much.
Not much.
Not much. And Lakeside Park was just coming into being. I mean,
So
And
not
like,
many
so for me,
trees.
yeah, correct. I was just saying, I'm visualizing trees, but all those trees would have been planted by people at some point.
When you were little, do you remember
Yeah.
many trees at the park?
huh. I don't really have a memory of that,
yeah,
but
yeah.
there wouldn't have been
Yeah.
very much. It was just a newly,
Yeah.
they were just designing it.
Huh. Interesting.
No bands.
Yeah.
Oh, the band show
Oh,
wasn't there
no,
yet.
the
No.
band shell wasn't there.
Huh.
That was built when I was probably in junior high. It was new because, yeah.
Huh. And Andy, what you don't, Mom would remember, the waterway didn't go through on the south side of Euclid.
Correct.
didn't
So
go-
she wasn't crossing any bridge to get across that water. Like there is a bridge there now where you go.
Well, no, the bridge would be there, but
Oh.
I'm saying
Yeah.
the creek when
Yeah.
that came out of the lagoon
Yeah.
used to run parallel with Euclid Street and then
Oh.
turn behind Washington School
Oh.
and run along there.
Okay.
And at some time they straightened that channel out.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, things
Okay.
have changed a
Yeah.
lot.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Huh.
So.
Yeah, and the thought that you came home, and we came home as little kids for
noon
lunch
lunch.
at Washington School
Yeah.
too.
And you know, it seems to me that even when we were down, see, what's Park School then was the high school. And so, well, I wasn't in, well, no, it was junior high too. But the high school was, where was it?
It was over at the middle, where the middle school is now, where the junior high is.
Yeah. Yeah, well,
Oh, but you're saying when you came, the high school was Park School.
yeah.
Right, and then the middle school we know now, where Sarah worked, that was built after you came here.
Yeah, definitely.
Mm-hmm.
Well, and in those days, well, the rural kids, I don't remember, there weren't many cars. The only people that ever came in a car were from a farm. And I can remember even where the middle school is now, when it was the high school. I can remember seeing the Allison car. They were a wealthy family, but she was my age, and a black chauffeur in a outfit got out and opened the door to let her get out of the car to come into the school.
Oh, wait.
Yeah.
Wow.
I mean, it was a whole different, but that was Mildred, I don't know what was her last name. Well, anyway. She was a member of the Sub-Deb Club, and my friend and I were asked to join. I never felt comfortable there.
Hmm.
I mean, because it was a whole different world. And I remember going to her house one time for a club at a holiday time. And I always felt uneasy. I mean, I still do around rich people, and I shouldn't be that way, but
Why and how were they rich? Like, what did her?
well, you're pretty rich if a chauffeur brings your kid
Do
to
you
school.
know? But how they had their money?
Banking, I
Banking?
think.
Oh.
And where did they live? Do you remember?
Yeah, Mildred, let's see, what's her name? Now it's just a different world.
Yeah.
But was the house she lived in
It
not
was,
on College Hill?
no, it was down on Maple. It was a big,
Oh,
big,
yeah.
block.
One of those big-
brick thing that's now,
Mhm.
yeah.
Hmm.
Because at the Sub-Deb Club, which, I just hated that. We went to her house one time for a meeting, and I just never felt right.
Did she But was she nice to you? Or?
Oh yes, yes, yes. It's me, and I tell myself now, I'm not friendly enough with people that I feel looking up to.
Mm.
I don't know.
Mm.
Well, anyway, that's it.
Interesting.
Well, that's all my stories. Thank you.